check.
Yes, yes.
Shout out to everybody tuned in. We finally back.
Yeah, long time coming. Put in a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we might even, get everything in. That's how much work we've been doing.
Definitely.
And that's just on the foot. That foot. We ain't even talking about everything we about to do. We got it.
So, as always, you tuned into Enveonline. You rocking with your host, one half, son of a Jones, a.k.a. Deshaun Jones, or vice versa, however you want to swing it.
And an outspoken, very tender-headed CEO, Sorry, Johnson.
Yo, man, it feels like a while. Been through some personal stuff. I've been not out the country, but in the Caribbean with my family.
Okay.
A lot of personal stuff.
Right.
Going to grad school, just a lot of shit, So, man, It feels good to be back, man.
Salute.
Definitely. Just enrolling into graduate school, so I start that journey in the summertime.
Okay.
But it feels good to be back here discussing Enveonline content where we discuss hip hop, sports, politics,
yes,
and a variety of stuff, man. So, are we gonna go to sports or are we gonna do something different?
I'm gonna do hip hop first. Yeah.
All right. So as always,
go where we appreciate it and never tolerate it.
For the people that follow us, we not only cover a lot of sports content, but we produce hip hop content as well. So
facts.
We're gonna do a little different today. We had just 2 hip hop topics that we wanted to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Brooklyn.
Whichever one you want to do first.
Let's start in Brooklyn.
Okay.
In your backyard.
Okay. Wait, what you want to talk about?
So, in current news, dealing with Brooklyn, 2 rappers, Mano and Troy Ave.
Correct.
Now, if you're into hip-hop culture and hip-hop news, then you know exactly where we're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
These 2 artists has been going back and forth following, I want to say, the case. I don't know if the sentencing has happened, but the controversial case between Troy Ave, I forgot his government name, but don't need it, and Taxstone. I think Taxstone was found guilty of 20 years. So the controversy surrounding this topic is Mr. Cocaine in his book bag. I mean, that's what he put on his mixtape, correct?
Super facts. Yep.
Got on the stand, pointed the finger, and said it was him, Your Honor. Allegedly.
Yep.
Said it was him.
Yeah.
Him over there.
That's right. He did point him out, didn't he?
So,
did they got the video of that? I don't think I
Nah,
think I
you
looked
can't because if you record, you can get penalized.
Oh, okay.
And I have to say allegedly for legal reasons before people start saying slander. But as a culture, I always said every podcast, I'm a civilian. So even I have to stay in my lane, so to speak, and not jump in others people's business. But since we're talking hip hop, we can discuss the current event. I want to let you kind of lead the topic because you're really familiar with that realm, and I'll just say that nicely.
I think from the knowledge of from what I know, from what we both know or know, Mano has come out recently and provided a chain that was recently dropped during the shooting, right? But let me make things clear. The thing that set this off was that Troy Ave got on a stand. Okay. And he pointed out Taxstone, that he was the shooter that shot his friend and tragically killed his friend. Then comes out later, because now he knows the heat is on him, he starts throwing little shots at Mano and Myson, talking about their failed rappers, their old failed rappers.
Do you think that's kind of like let me throw this out there just to get them off my case? Because I didn't get that whole angle of talking about my son and Troy and Mano.
It's my son responded because I saw his YouTube video and he's 1,000% right. It's the pressure. You just mad because you out here looking like a snitch. You look like a coward. And then Mano confirmed what we already knew. So you went in there. Well, not what we already knew, but it kind of changes the narrative. Mm-hmm. So what happened was, from the story that Mano put on the page, was that Taxstone was there. He was supposed to be there. You came in there with your man and started acting up, wilding out, and then things didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Somebody lost their life. You got caught on camera shooting, because we all saw it. That's not slander. We saw on camera you shooting at somebody and somebody running out. We don't know what happened in that room. You got locked up, and for whatever reason you got out. Don't know why, don't know how, But clearly we do know why. Because you was scared to stay in there. And nobody wants to go to jail. I don't care what nobody says. No, it's that you accept your consequences, right? When you do something, you accept your consequences. He did something and he didn't seem to want to accept his consequences. And I think the thing is, let me go here because I'm not sidetracking. But the thing that's bothering me, when he first got out, I remember he did this interview with the Breakfast Club. And he was like, I'm having conversations with Envy about Lennon and Shades and Lynch, grown people conversations.
Gotcha.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting because that's not the conversations you were having before. So in other words, you want to say the streets is a myth because now all of a sudden now it's your ass. Now you gotta, as Mano and my son have both pointed out, and they're not wrong. I hear Gully TV's point, but they're still not wrong. You were portraying an image and then trying to live a lifestyle that you knew the consequences that came from it. You ran into somebody that you thought you was going to show them who you was. They said, let me show you who I am. And when what happened, let me say this. I'm pretty sure Ty Stone could have got out of this. He could have said, yo, those dudes came at me first, da-da-da-da-da. I tried to defend. He ain't do none of that. He took it like a man. He dealt with what he had to deal with. Your ass went and started singing because you didn't want to sit in that jail. And let me be real. I'm wondering is it because he ain't want to run into him in there because there ain't no guns in there. You gotta throw hands like a man. When you get locked up, son, sometimes you cross paths with the cats you ran with.
Totally.
You ran into and that you got in trouble with. So meaning like, I'm wondering you got out, you decided to tell on the stand, which you didn't have to. You could have just took the bid, which probably would have had you and Tax Stone probably out around the same time. And y'all just went about your way and respected y'all, thing. But you didn't do that. You told. You can't ever talk any street stuff ever again. And if you are talking it, and let me make this very clear, kids do not listen to him. He's bringing you down a road. Time out. Let me give you I got 30 seconds. He's bringing you down a road, portraying an image that he's not. He's not a tough guy. And at the end of the day, he was going to tell. So he's like 6'9". He's portraying like a rap career and betraying all that F you, suck this and this. But then at the end of the day, when your head about to get split or you about to start doing some time and have to own up to what you singing and what you portraying, then you want to start becoming an innocent civilian and want to talk about shades and lamps and want to talk about how educated you need to be. No. You need to own up to what you was portraying. So do not listen to him. If you're about that life, he's not the guy you need to listen to. And if you're not about that life and you're thinking about it because of the music you're listening to from him, stop listening to it.
That's the point I wanted
Don't
to
listen to it at all.
So,
go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
No, you hit the nail on the head. So it's 2 points. I'm going to touch on that point last. The first point, I think I do agree with Mano, not to take sides, but what he said is, you're talking a lot of stuff on the internet, but I was there. Your actions caused your best friend, Banger, to get killed. So had you would have handled it a different way, had you would have been more mature and not wanted to pop off, maybe that incident wouldn't have happened and maybe your best friend would be here. But you don't have that same energy towards his family. You're actually being disrespectful to his family. Mm-hmm. That's a whole key in this because there's a family hurt. That man's mother, brother, and sister are still out here alive watching you make music videos after you testifying about an incident that is seeming like you slightly instigated. Correct me, am I wrong?
Yeah.
From what we're hearing, now that the stories are coming out, it seems like he had a hand in instigating it, which makes the whole getting on the stand. It's just like this. So remember I told you about a situation last year where somebody was popping off at the mouth, creating fake profiles online.
Oh, my God.
And every day I woke up, there was a new fake profile. And then I'm like, okay, this ain't real life. This is the internet.
Yeah.
Because we're never going to see you in real life.
No.
It's just like if that person were to see me in real life and things would have went sideways and then that person would have got on the stand and said, no, it was him. He punched me in my mouth or he broke my jaw or he went upside my head with and you're like, but didn't you instigate this? So it's almost on one hand, you're trying to trick somebody out their situation. Mm-hmm. You want to instigate this tough guy. And we see it all the time, not just in hip hop, but like I said, with this internet, people get online and they're the most toughest person in the world.
Yeah, you be looking like what
That's
you doing,
why.
man.
You know what I did when it happened? I just closed my mouth.
Yep.
I didn't respond because I said, "Oh, this is cute online. I can't make. I'm young, but I don't. I got kids. What I'm sitting up here making profiles for?
Yeah.
Oh, let me make a fake profile and get back at them. No.
Where do you find the time to do that?
Where do you find the time to create 50 fake profiles and act tough online, but don't see the person in real life?
That makes you a loser.
So to that point, so that kind of leads back into Troy Ave. You can't instigate something and then hold your hands up and claim civilian, but you have a whole history of a catalog saying bricks in my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just on a hip hop level. But just for regular society, going back to that last point, if you are a square, like I always said on this podcast, you could check my background. I'm as square as they come. Yeah, I grew up in an environment in 1986, blah, blah, blah. But I'm a square. I'm going to grad school. I have no reason getting on this podcast ever talking gangster. Because then somebody could say, ain't you in grad school for tech?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm no pushover, 6 foot 220. I'm not going to let you talk to me crazy, but I'm also not a tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's missing in society. People are putting up a front trying to act like something they're not.
Right.
And I think he got caught out there in a major way. So where do we see this going as an end result?
As far as like with Mano and
not just Mano, just the overall message. Because we're in a weird space in hip hop, and I'm glad we're talking about hip hop because we're going to go to some authentic hip hop after this. But we're just in this weird space right now.
The only thing, the message needs to be sent, and I know my son and Mano are at the forefront of it. There needs to be somebody that's in that circle, like A$AP Rocky or somebody that makes it clear, like, yo, we can't roll with this dude. Like, no, I don't want nothing to do with this dude.
But we're not seeing that.
Yeah.
And it's not just with him, because we've seen the case down with the young kids in Atlanta. Like, Young Thug is waiting to be sentenced, and everybody, what's it called, co-defendants, they all took some type of proffer agreement. Now, maybe you can educate me on that, what a proffer agreement is.
That I don't know about. Because I think Gunna took a deal. But he
ain't the only. There's about 20 other kids in that case.
But did they snitch though? I guess is what I'm asking.
We're seeing. Now again, I'm not trying to put you out there, but about 10 kids got like 15 years probation, like a 15-year sentence turned into probation. So on the outside looking in, I can't call nobody a snitch. One, because I'm civilian. Two, because I ain't see the paperwork. But when everybody's taking plea deals for 15-year commuted sentences, something's a little off because they're looking to throw us in jail. Y'all taking 15-year probation sentence?
Yeah, so, No.
Gotcha.
No,
Shout
I
out
agree
to
with
Tyler.
you. So,
exactly. So that answers my question.
Okay.
What a proffer agreement is. It's a written contract between the defendant and the federal prosecution. So you have to give something up. Maybe not everything, but you gotta write a half a bar.
He said you gotta write a half a bar.
You might not write the whole 16, but you gotta write a half a bar.
Right. We don't have
we're just in a weird space in hip hop where this is becoming acceptable. And not that I'm condoning it because I'm a civilian. This is the message that y'all putting into y'all music that's affecting our kids.
Let me make this clear. If you really, the rules say what they are. If you're in the street game or you're in that street life and that's the life you want to live, whatever, and this is just life, period. Whatever you get involved in and you were willing to take that risk, then you better be willing to be man enough to own up to whatever the consequences are. So meaning you wanted to play tough guy and you wanted to go flying up somebody says, let me tell you from experience, from what I've seen. So I seen somebody, and I'm not going to say no names.
From Azar Johnson.
I seen somebody talking crazy, right? And they got their head flown. And I mean, they got mopped, son. Dude was picking them up, body slamming them again, right? Mm-hmm. So dude walk out, he come back in, he did it to him again because he was running his mouth. Now the dude prior to that had been making threats, sending people towards people, sending people towards that individual, making it clear like, when I see you, this is what I'm going to do you on sight. It just so happened, it's like what Tony Yayo said, time has passed. Mm-hmm. So it's been like 2-3 years, so you nobody had crossed paths because for whatever reason. I'm not going to speak on why. Then when you run into the person, they like, oh, well, time is no. You said when you saw me, this is what it was going to be. I'm seeing you, and I'm going to show you what it's going to be. it was what it was. They got what happened to them and had it coming, and then all of a sudden, when later on down the road, whatever the what do you want to call them, the police, the good, police, whatever you want to call them, they get involved. And somehow they got your name statement and saying like, yo, this person did this to me. Then when you get approached about it, you like, nah, I ain't say that. I ain't say that. Then come down further down the line, you think it's a dead situation, and then you get into something else and they bring this case up. That means you kept rolling with it. Okay. So my whole thing is just I don't think you should. Don't knock on a door that you ain't ready to answer. That's my best way of putting it. And the reason why I feel passionate about it is I got caught in that situation before too.
Oh,
that wasn't the situation, but
I done heard some stories.
So what I'm saying is like, it was to go off another experience. It's just like, that's why, like, to coincide with you, to give you big ups. There was a situation where somebody's running their mouth, but then they wanted to deal with it in a professional manner in front of a judge. So I just don't. Yeah. It's like what Mano said. Like I don't want any problems with you. I don't want no problems with you because you're gonna tell on me anyway. So if I go upside your head or I catch you slipping somewhere and your feet come off the ground and you start flying, you're gonna go and tell the minute you hit the ground. The minute you hit the ground, you're gonna hit like this, and then you're gonna go run into the police station and be like, yeah, Jermaine Coleman did this to me, he did this to me, he did this to me. You're gonna tell it all. So ain't no point in having an argument. It's just we know what you did. And to be honest with you, because I don't know where this is all coming from. Like I ain't gonna get into that other person. Me and you talked about that earlier. We just refuse to mention that. Yep. But to stay on the facts, you were telling. You were not a civilian. You played a tough guy. You was running around with all the tough guy rappers, and all of a sudden you got your head whooped, and then all of a sudden you want to play civilian. Why you ain't ride for your man? He's talked about it. You see Tony Ayo on them. We all know about the history of G Unit, right? Yes. We all know about the certain situations they got into. I don't think Jimmy Henchman is locked up for anything that's happened to them. I don't think World is locked up for anything that's happened to them. Whatever they got locked up for was some other else. So what I'm saying is to you, they knew what they were bringing to the door, and they knew what they would. Like 50 of them knew what they was getting involved in. So they knew when 50 knew when he made certain records and he knew what it was going to bring to the door. He was willing to get with it. If you saw him and he wanted, he was willing to get with it. He wasn't going to back down from you. It seems like with Troy Ave, though, the difference is like you got into it and you was willing to tell. Instead of you going to deal with it like you supposed to, like you so proclaiming your records, like it's the same record. Come run up on me if you want. Well, they did. And clearly Tax Stone is about that. And if you check Tax Stone's record, that's who he really is. So, I mean, you ran up on somebody that answered you. I wouldn't told. Why you don't get the banging and why you ain't just wait it out, do some time, and when y'all get out, we are gonna have this conversation again. That's kind of what you portray in your music.
For the people that's gonna listen to this on the playback, we're not two old heads getting into a circular conversation about snitching and hip hop.
Yeah.
What we're really saying is for all the artists that's coming into the culture, whether old or young, watch the messages that you put in your music.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to digest the messages, and then how they take it is how they take it. This is a big art form that we fell in love with. I fell in love with it in 1989 as a baby listening to Slick Rick. You prior to that, like...
Yeah.
The space we're in is these made-up personas. Like, come on, man. We done ran into so many artists that I'll never name.
Yeah.
Facts. That you think they have money in this.
Or they playing tough.
Or they're playing tough.
We had a video shoot, and then once we go into the projects, these cats start running. They start getting out of there. Yeah.
Like we've been on the back end of this for like close to 15 years. So we're not just talking to talk.
Facts.
So now we're seeing grown men in their 30s and 40s do this, and it's like, at some point, when is the authenticity of hip hop going to come back?
Mm-hmm. Facts.
Because at least when those guys were telling those stories in the early 90s, we could verify what they were doing.
Yeah, facts.
That's why we fell in love with their music, because we knew it came from an authentic place.
Right.
y'all getting exposed on the internet left and right. It's not doing you no justice, man. Get your CDL.
Yeah.
It's about time for half of y'all to get your CDL license, man.
Yeah, man.
But that's a whole nother topic. You want to keep giving this any more energy?
It's just the fact of I just can't stress enough. Like, if you want to play tough guy, because there's a few people to this day, like, I'm not looking for any trouble, but if I see you, I'm gonna address your situation. Like, we ain't gonna have no conversation. You just gonna have to figure it out. I don't think that you don't do something that you ain't ready to answer for. That's my best advice. I would teach my son the same thing. Don't go out there running around playing tough guy if you ain't tough. Don't do it. Don't get me wrong. Now, if somebody trying to bully you, you mind your business and they wilding out, man. Do what you got to do, but don't go looking for it. And that ain't you. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? It's okay to be just a normal dude that's like, yo, this is what I'm about. You come over here and bother me, you're going to get what you're looking for, but leave me alone.
And that's
you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
that's the other side of envy.
Yeah, right.
I tell people, just like it's a famous video going around at 50 where he said, I never want a problem. Mm-hmm. But when they say they want a problem, no problem.
Yep. Don't worry. Let me.
I never want a problem.
Yeah.
I never want a problem.
Yep.
But if you say it's a problem, no problem.
Yeah. Don't get mad when your feet come off the ground. That's all I want to say. If we have an issue, I don't want no cops involved. I want you to have the same energy when the cops come and start asking you questions. You don't know nothing. One time I'm not going to get into what it was, but one time I got
limitation pass.
One time I got a crazy voicemail, and I kept thinking in the back of my mind, like,
is it a voicemail that I heard?
Yeah, I was just like, yo, you talking like that after you left a paper trail? Really? I can't lift your feet off the ground now, man.
It's already a paper trail.
You left a paper trail, so I can't be seen doing that. So, it is what it is, man. You playing tough guy. Whatever. I still ain't seen him. You somewhere hiding, portraying like you a tough guy, which you far from it. Far from it.
I'll say it again. As much of a civilian I am, mm-hmm. I never want a problem. But if you say it's a problem, no problem.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be very bad.
Now let's get into some authentic hip hop, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So outside of this fiasco that happened, it was clogging up some good hip hop media. Mm-hmm. And me and you talked about this off air. When we first started this back in 2010, I used to run to you, yo, hey, you hear this new mixtape, you hear this new sound, you hear this kid from Philly, from like I was coming with it left and right. And over the last 5 years, that's been tough. I don't know if it's because the internet's watering it down or we're just getting the same sound or what. Mm-hmm. So it kind of leaves that hunger for something to happen. So the news came out, and I don't know if it's official, but apparently Raekwon and Ghostface are supposed to be working on some album. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's official news, but if you look it up on Twitter.
I did. Like, it's supposed to be entirely produced by Pete Rock.
That's who the DJ was.
Right.
Now, for the young bucks who's going to listen to this, please break down the importance of Pete Rock as a DJ and producer in hip hop culture,
right?
And what he mean in hip hop.
Pete Rock is definitely dope. If you don't know him from the group Pete Rock and CL Smooth, they definitely had classic albums.
When I Reminisce Over You,
that album should have went gold, but back then it was bootlegging. It wasn't what we call now streaming and downloading. There was a bootlegging album. Got bootlegged the hell out of. Mm-hmm. Anyway, long story short, and he was also part of the movement when Nas's first album came. That's who made Whose World Is This? Like that beat.
Whose world is this?
Yeah.
The world is
yours. So Pete Rock is
classic.
Pete Rock is, and his list is so long. I can't. But I think he did Don't Curse. Oh my God, this guy. Pete Rock's list is too long. Yeah. But he's as relevant as names like Cool G Rap. What's the other guy? Easy Mo B. He's right up there with the producers, Melly Mel.
Let me just throw something in there real quick. So I interviewed a DJ by the name of DJ Thorough.
Yes.
And in a clip that I put out went viral a while ago where he said there's very few DJs that's actually producers. Mm-hmm. He named DJ Premier. He named Pete Rock, and
Right.
probably Molly Mall.
Yes, that's what I meant. Molly Mall. Yes,
He's in that breath with them.
super facts.
I'm gonna say that against you, young bucks who are under the age of 25.
Agree.
Pete Rock is in the same breath as DJ Premier and Molly Mall. Because there are not many DJs that's actually producing the records that you hear in hip hop culture. Go ahead.
No, I 1000% agree. He's a legend. You know what I'm saying? Like he's that relevant. He played a part in the East Coast, and when the West Coast was kind of really rocking, he played a part in producing and making music that kept us relevant. Him and Eric Sermon. And that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, we always wanted to interview Eric Sermon.
Yeah. Eric, stop hiding from me, man. You gotta answer me. You know what I'm saying? One day you on my bucket list, man. I'm gonna put you on my vision board. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. So, getting back on topic, if this is official, because sometimes you see stuff on Twitter and they be like, oh, somebody just photoshopped that. If that album is official, what would you expect from it? From a Ghostface and Raekwon, produced by Pete Rock.
I would expect classic. Only, and let me tell you why. Definitely because Pete Rock is like, he knows how to go into the soul. He does soul music too. So he knows how, and Ghostface, and whenever he gets them soulful beats, he destroys them. You know what I'm saying? Raekwon knows how to tell a story over those soulful beats. So with that mixing, and I'm pretty sure Risen on him, everybody will contribute.
Like what Ghostface did with the Delphonics, man.
Yeah. I saw that clip, man. That's crazy. I was like, are you serious?
That was a real story.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say? It's just, when you got that, all that mixing in, and Pete Rock overlooking and overseeing the whole project, classic. It's like Trackmasters over J&R's album before all that drama.
And here's what's going to be sad. Because we live in a microwave movement now, it's not going to be appreciated. And I'm not even going to go back to the 90s. I'm just talking about if something like this would have happened in 2010.
Right.
It's going to get lost in a dysfunction. But old heads like me and yourself, man, we're going to love the hell out of that artwork, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be something soulful when they do that.
I hope they push it in a way that it can be appreciated.
Definitely.
And when I say it, like, meaning like create some videos for it.
We need
make a real catalog. I think that's one of the problems. And they say, well, hey, there's world stars, all that stuff, and they're putting videos out. I said, no. When you create an album, you have to push it right. So you let the singles out, but make sure you got the visuals with it. And it can't just be world star. It has to be on YouTube. It has to be on your platform and at other people's outlets. And as long as you keep doing that, you'll be okay. I think it'll be appreciated. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. I think so. I know we were talking. Did you want to bring it up? Because I know we were gonna go into why we brought that up.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a reason. But I'm gonna segue just real quick.
Okay.
Before we get to the reason why I brought it up, since we're talking about a potential joint album with Ghostface and Raekwon, and once again for you younger folks, key members of the Wu-Tang Clan, where will we put them to? Because I know they don't officially call themselves a hip-hop duo, but they put in so much work together. And we see the stories, we heard the stories, we even see the Wu-Tang series on Hulu.
I gotta watch that.
Oh, it's ill. It's ill.
I remember you been telling me to go check that out.
That's really a duel, even though they don't officially claim to be tag team partners. Where will we rank them as a hip-hop duel? Like, look at the classics by themselves. Then look at the classics.
Ghostface's first album was 5 mics, man. I don't care what nobody say. That shit was 5 mics.
Quality.
Yeah, that was dope. But the purple tape Raekwon, the duel, that's
here we go. Here we go.
Reading among duo groups, I think they're better than Outkast. Now maybe that's just me. They have the potential.
Hey, you gonna get us canceled by the South, man? Oh my God! All the Millennia podcast is about to get on our ass.
Swizz and Timbaland, I swear to God, if you do this versus, you owe me and Deshaun some money. They need to do a Ghostface and Raekwon versus Outkast. They need to do that. I swear to God.
Say that to the camera.
Hold up, one more time. Yo,
That's
T, get
ill.
this on the phone, man. Yeah, this is the one time. Yeah, I'm having a boss moment. Listen, so yo, if you do a versus, you got to do Ghostface and Raekwon versus Outkast. That has to
I
be.
know that was a good take.
That's the GOAT. That's the GOAT versus.
I know that's a good take.
Yeah.
Just give your opinion of why that would be so dope.
Cause Outkast, who's another group, they're not to go in their whole history. They like came out and they had nobody, no support,
that was
nothing.
The time people wasn't biting
they wasn't even trying to deal with the South. But their music was so dope you couldn't ignore it. Like you just didn't care. They were like. That's why they get so much respect, and they kept being consistent. To their every time they dropped something, gold, diamond. Like even white people were liking it. They were all singing it. So like Outkast is like one of the greatest groups of all time. That is not up for debate. Period. It's just, are they better than Raekwon and Ghost? I would love to see the verses and put them together.
Catalog would be
Swizz,
crazy.
you owe us money if you do this, because ain't nobody brought this up. I don't see notice nowhere on YouTube. Nobody's brought this up. So Swizz, I swear I'm telling you.
Or whoever owns verses.
Verses. You owe us money.
Whoever owns verses. If y'all could put that together.
You owe us money.
That would be so ill for the culture.
Yeah.
A New York City duel versus Atlanta duel. Then we could put that discussion to bed.
Yeah. Facts. I think that would be
what would you rate this? What would you put the score up?
It would be close up until near the end. I think Ghost and Ray would get him in the end. I think Ghost would just pull something out that we forgot about. It's like the Locks. When them and Dipset went at it, I didn't think it was going to be what it was until they started doing their music, and I was like, oh shit. I was like,
proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, and they were so prepared.
Right, but even though Dipset wasn't prepared, when they were playing some of the songs, I was like, damn, I forgot about that. So it's just like the same thing with Rain Ghost. People would think, oh, Outkast gonna blow them out. Nah. Rain Ghost will pull something out. And remember, they can do their Wu-Tang verses. They can do their duo verses. They could if they want, but they ain't gonna do it because it's 2 against 2. But they could put Capadonna out there because he's been in a lot of their stuff too. So what I'm saying is that, and they can do their own solo verses. And I think they would, I think they would get Outkast in the end. And I think if they do the verses though, because it's 2 groups and they're not from New York, I think they got to do it somewhere in the middle. So meaning it can't be in New York and it can't be in Atlanta. It can't be either. Because if you do it in there,
be on the West Coast,
it's either that or in the middle, like either Maryland or VA. I'm not sure. No, VA is a little too. No. Either Maryland or VA. But it can't, or DC. But it can't be in New York and it can't be in Atlanta. That's all I know. Yo, T, man, I think you should have pulled the phone out on that and recorded that.
I got it.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
So the reason why we're going down this rabbit hole, because another take has came up online in hip hop. So a lot of hip hop pages, whether on Instagram or Twitter, was bringing up some classic hip hop albums during the 90s. And one reoccurring album and person that kept coming up was Raekwon's Purple Tape.
Facts.
Only built for Cuban links. So I don't want to put words in nobody's mouth, so I'm going to say paraphrasing. The first person who I saw do it was Doggy Diamonds, who's big in our culture as far as journalism.
Shout out to Doggy Diamonds.
He placed on his Twitter, and I'm going to paraphrase it, that when that album came out, he would put it up against Nas's debut album and Ready to Die. And from his perspective, and he has a title to his own opinion, but he said he felt Only Built for Cuban Links, the Purple Tape, is better than both of those albums. Now, this is a hip-hop discussion.
Oh, boy, that's hard.
I think it's hard because all 3 of them on their own did something different for hip hop.
Independently, yeah. Independently, they all stand on their own. And yeah. Well, can I say something?
Go ahead.
Do you want to say something first?
Go ahead.
Nas and Biggie's album brought back the East Coast. I never forgot that.
Because the West was slaying it.
And then Nas came with Illmatic, and Biggie came Ready to Die, and we never looked back after that. Wu-Tang did too.
But that's where the argument's gonna get in, because
Wu-Tang did. But can I say something? Because this was like kind of my, and I'm not saying that I know more than what you know. This was kind of, I never forgot, and nobody ever wants to admit this part. And we probably gonna break this down in the clip. And I'm gonna make this very clear. And nobody's gonna ever want to admit this. That was a shock. That wasn't like, it was kind of no disrespect. It was like the Raptors when they won the championship in basketball.
Yeah, like where did this come from?
Where did this come from? I can tell you now, and I'm not going to get into the whole story, but there was a young lady I was dating at the time, who was a real hip hop head, but we just don't. I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, point I'm making is, she gave me, like, I'm in a car. She's like, "Yo, you need to check this Raekwon Ghostface." She put me onto it because I knew it was out, but nobody was checking for it. And then I heard it, and when I was driving, I just kept nodding my head. It was banger after banger. The point I'm making is that when they came out, everybody was looking at Method Man, everybody was looking at ODB. Their albums had dropped. Mm-hmm. It was kind of,
and they were still riding the high off that Wu-Tang album.
Facts. It was kind of, we're checking for this because it's Wu-Tang, not because it's Raekwon and Ghostface. Because you didn't think Raekwon and Ghostface could produce an album like that. See, Old Dirty, that was a lot of people's favorite artists on Wu-Tang.
Oh, I remember that.
Method Man, that was a lot of people's favorite artists on label. Raekwon and Ghostface, that wasn't a lot of people's favorite artists on Wu-Tang. I don't care what nobody says. I'm telling you the truth.
Well, I'm a Ghostface fan, but
no, facts. I love Ghostface. If you go listen to Mystery Checks Boxing, he had me at that.
Them Wallies,
the minute he did
Mystery Wallies in the closet.
Funny. The minute he did the Mystery Chess Boxing, he had me because I think that came before Cream. But anyway, to make a long story short, nobody was checking for them like that. They only bought the album because it's a Wu-Tang album. But then it was, this is we don't even care it's a Wu-Tang album. This album is just banging all around. You from front when the tape starts to the tape ends, you don't have to press fast forward at all. That's a 5-mic album.
The first 2 tracks, Knuckleheads.
Yeah.
And then Knowledge of God.
Yeah.
Just the first 2 tracks alone.
Yeah.
And we're just talking about hip hop. The way they sliced that beat up.
Yeah. Facts.
The production. From a production standpoint to a lyrical standpoint. Because I don't even think at that time, what was that, 94, 95? Was Big L out yet? I don't
L
think
was out. L was out that time.
He was buzzing?
Yeah, he was out. If I'm not mistaken.
Was it mainstream yet?
No.
You see where I'm going. I'm not saying he wasn't now. I'm saying was he mainstream yet? He had some freestyles out. So lyrical content from an East Coast perspective, we weren't hearing it like that.
No.
Like that.
And they had like a Gambino flow. I mean, that...
It was like a mafioso flow.
And then they had the nicknames and, that was kind of really the first time. Well, no, he showed his face in... What's the song on the Wu-Tang album? Because it wasn't on Rain Ghost. It was when he started showing his face.
What, Cream?
No, Cream. It was another thing. It's like sunshine plays a major part in the daytime. It's mankind goes face carry a black 9. Can it all be so simple? That's when you started seeing Ghostface's face.
Man?
Yeah,
whatever sample he broke down. Oh my God! But go ahead, man.
But he after you heard stuff from them like Heaven and Hell and all that, but you just didn't think they could push that out. That was not that we didn't. Nobody saw that coming. I don't care what anybody in this hip hop industry says. They are lying. Maybe Steve Rifkin did because he released the album, but nobody saw that coming. I'm telling you, nobody saw that coming. Even the girl I was dating at the time, that was with, and I'm talking about high school. Like she the one that had to put me onto that. I didn't see that coming. Like I was gonna get to it because it's a Wu-Tang album, but I was still stuck on Dirty and Meth. That changed my whole perception around.
Here's what's hell. So at that time, and I'm gonna also go here with this. So I was I was in high school. I was a younger kid at that time. So West Coast, you're 100% correct. I was listening to so we got the West Coast, then I was listening to Slick Rick all through the late 80s, early 90s. I was also listening to LL Cool J, which he doesn't get enough credit for doing that.
Absolutely not.
Whole time period from 86 all the way up into 2006. It's a whole nother topic. Wu-Tang dropped their album, and this is a little story I'm going to give. since I was so young and I grew up in a church household, you know, I had strict parents. You ain't supposed to be listening to that. Whatever
my grandparents
music,
was the same way.
whatever
Yeah.
what they call it. I've got the terminology church folks use.
Yeah.
So I have an older brother that's 4 years older than me. He got the cassette tape, and snuck it in the room. We playing it in the back room, the unedited version.
Right.
All this is going off. We bopping our heads, little kids. He's a teenager at the time. My stepmother's outside the door listening too. What y'all listening to? All that cursing.
Right.
Do y'all even understand? We don't understand, but what is this?
Right.
That's 36 Chambers.
Right.
The other group at that time that was getting major love, because remember, Easy just died, was Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Right. Yep.
So you got to also put that in perspective. We had the West Coast. Pac was riding that whole entire time. Snoop Dogg was riding that whole entire time. And a bunch of other acts that we probably can't bring up right now. Then the East Coast, we had our East Coast legends. But then you still had some Midwest going off at that whole time right there. And then Raekwon and Ghost dropped that.
Facts. They dropped that
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Like meth.
There was no Jay-Z at that time.
What was it? No. Jay came.
Hey.
But it was Reasonable Doubt.
come on,
it
man.
was like Reasonable Doubt, Jay. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't.
He was out,
he's
but he
another
wasn't
one.
out.
I keep saying this because I'm not trying to make myself a hip hop historian. I can only speak from my like what you're saying. Jay dropped his album the same time Nas and Biggie dropped. Nobody was checking because Jay and Big. Jay was there because he was in a constant video rotation.
Yep.
But nobody saw what we seeing now.
Yeah.
Nobody saw the blueprint. Nobody saw because
Remember,
even
he had to work some records for
yes,
years.
yes, super facts. That's what I'm
This
saying.
is after appearing and stuff with Big.
Yeah,
and, you know.
yeah.
Then,
He was
then
not.
that happened,
He was not the
97,
guy.
98.
I remember that.
94.
He was not the guy. And you know what was
95?
funny? As even for a corny moment, if you go back and look at the Dead Presidents video, I remember I had the black leather jacket with the suede cap because I was rocking with Jay. Set a lot. He was setting a lot of trends back then, but you didn't know. You wouldn't think nothing of it, but he was
saying
setting a lot of
stuff that
trends.
I'm just now catching up to.
Yeah, so it was cool, but nobody was checking for him. But Raekwon and Ghost, what makes their album classic is that it was the fact that nobody saw it coming. That's one, and that is probably one of the greatest Wu-Tang albums ever to be released. Because even Method Man's album, it didn't. It
Had
was
some singles.
It was but it wasn't what we thought it was gonna be. Dirty was cool, but Dirty just kind of he did his 2 songs, 2 videos, and
That was it.
that was it. And it was a banging album, but he didn't really push it. Raekwon and Ghost, that was just another level. Then Ghostface album came, and that was another level. And it just Ghostface just kept coming. But to know that nobody saw that coming from them, and from them to have probably, if I had to be honest, they had the best album out of every Wu-Tang member. They had the best album. Jizza, they all, and let me say,
Shout out
all
to
of them,
Jizza Liquid Swords, man.
Liquid Swords, all of them. I don't know. I didn't really listen to You God's album, and that's not a shot at You God. Just at that point, I couldn't, buy albums like that like I was before. But I heard some of his stuff. I'm telling you, out of every Wu-Tang member, that Ghost and Raekwon album's got to be the top album. That's a lot coming from a 9-man group, and they're all doing their thing, and you came out with the best album. Let's just say what it is. Method Man has never surpassed Only Built for Cuban Links. He's never surpassed that.
Now,
Old
he's
Dirty.
surpassing in other ways with his acting because he's multi-talented, but we're talking strictly
Oh yeah, it's an actor.
music-wise.
Yeah, but music-wise, no. He's never surpassed Only Built for Cuban Links. And let me say this: he's made his own classic versions of albums, but it ain't better than Cuban Links. I just need to say that. It's
So
not
going
better
back
than
to
Cuban
the
Links.
original point, because not only Doggy Dimes, but other people brought it up too on the hip hop blogs. If we pulled out if we pull out Nas's debut album, and I before this podcast, I was taking notes. I was listening to it. Here's where I give Only Built for Cuban Links the slight edge. I can't.
I
go
would
up
agree with that.
I can't
yeah.
go out with Big yet, but just with him and Nas, they were more polished because they was on a previous album and doing verses with other Wu members. And then who's your producer, RZA.
Yeah, facts.
So by the time that album dropped, Ray and Ghost's, we already been on a platinum album. We already been on tours. Then we already did guest verses on this and this. So when that album came out, they was like a 4-year vet already. When I listened to Nas, although it was dope, very dope, especially for a kid who was writing some of those raps at 17.
Facts.
His wordplay, his influence off of Raekwon, off of Rakim, he sounds a little more raw.
Yeah.
Like he needed like another 2 years to get more polish. So I hear rawness in Nas's debut album, still 5 mics.
Oh, facts. Yeah.
I hear a polished veteran, damn near veteran on a debut. Who does that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I give him the slight edge over that. Now, that album versus Biggie Ready to Die, I don't know. I don't know, but
I will say this.
That's a little tough.
You know what? You know why, Doggy? And I can't speak for Doggy Diamonds. You know why I think he thinks that their albums are better? Their album is better than those. They only had RZA. Everybody else had multiple producers.
Okay.
And you
couldn't come up with nothing better
than only built for Cuban Links.
That's a good point.
That's the one edge that they got over them. I'm just gonna keep it real. They had multiple producers, both him and Nas, Biggie and Nas.
Since you're a little older than I am, and we talking about that time period, we don't just have to stop at 94, 95. But all the great music that came out from like 91 to like the late 90s, I don't even want to get into 2000s, just that whole 91 to 99. Where would you put that album in? You could throw out some other albums. They don't have to be in order that you will place like, if I'm going to put only Built for Cuban Links, where like 2 other albums, not naming the ones we named, that you would throw out there like, yo, this was it, man. This was made in the 90s.
Mobb Deep's first album. Mobb Deep's first album, that's front to back 5 mics. Oh my God, who else that I'm missing? I'm missing one more person because there wasn't too many people back then. It was Nas, Big, Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep. They all had it. You got to remember when they all dropped those albums, the East Coast was starving. We needed somebody to speak for us, and
because a lot of this stuff was like, that's why I made the point about Big L. Big L was out, but it was guest features and freestyles.
I want to say also, and this is gonna go unnoticed, Black Moon.
Okay.
Black Moon's first album.
Because Pun he got some influence from Black Moon, but go ahead.
Black Moon's first album. And you talking about 91 to 99?
Yeah.
Black Moon's first album. Keith Murray's first album.
God bless Keith Murray.
From all his mind. We're not going to get into that.
God bless the brother.
Okay. Keith Murray's first album. I'm missing one. I said Boot Camp Clicker. I said Black Moon. Black Moon. Yep. Black Moon. Smith & Wesson. Oh my God, just one more missing.
Eric Sermon?
Nah. And I'm Eric Sermon, number one fan. But it was a banging album, but I don't think it could compete with those. Nah. Yeah, let's just say it rep well for us, but I'm not gonna put it up there with those albums. Those albums are way different. I can't. No, that's second album. Redman's second album can't compete with that. I'm gonna leave it there.
That's a good list.
Yeah,
because a lot of the other stuff that we wanted to say was still bubbling, like digging in the crates with Fat Joe and them. Like that was still.
Yeah, even Fat Joe's second album, Jealous One's Envy. Oh my God, he will never. And I know he's had a lot of banging albums and all that.
Singles.
That second album was Joe's Coming. That's when, and I remember this kid. There's this kid, and I'm going to put his name up there. I don't care. There was this kid named Pablo in our school. Mm-hmm. He used to talk to my man, you know what I'm saying, two of my men, like Trav and Big G, right? And he put them on. He kept telling my man Trav about Fat Joe. So Trav was like, yo, you need to listen to this kid named Fat Joe. I was like, yo, man, I already know who he is, from the Flo Joe days. He's like, nah, hey, you got to listen to his new album. So, Pablo had put him on. So he plays it. He put, once again, this is when I had the car, you know what I'm saying, the other, high school car. And he puts it in the tape. Son. Banging from start to finish. Jealous One's Envy was definitely another one. If you're talking about 91 to 99.
I just pray that we can get some more and I'm not even saying just from them, just in general from our coast, some great art like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to happen. What Nas, I don't want to say Nas set a trend, but with him doing whole albums with one producer, that's why I'm praying that Ghostface and them sit down with Pete Rock with one producer and produce a whole album the same way Nas did with Hit Boy.
Yeah.
It's bringing back better music.
Yeah.
When Nas released these last 3 albums, people have said these might be like the best part of his catalog from a production standpoint. And I'm telling you, if Raekwon and Ghostface do sit down with Pete Rock in the next year or two, it's probably gonna be like a 5 mic album.
I hope he gets RZA involved. And you know, oh, my bad. You're gonna laugh about this. Flip Mode's first album.
Flip Mode Squad with Busta Rhymes?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, Flip Mode's first album.
Do you
Flip Mode's first album was thorough.
because when we talking about changing culture, the first time I saw that as a kid or heard the flow, like I couldn't catch it. But then when you see the videos being placed behind it and you're seeing the level of artistry that he had,
Yeah.
you knew he was coming when he first stepped out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, this is going to be artist development. It's going to take him 2 or 3 albums.
Yeah.
No, he came out swinging.
His first album was tough. I don't think it's classic in its own right, but it's not up there with Mobb Deep's in the first album. But Flip Mode's first album, you had all of them. None of them MCs whack. None of them. From Spliff Star to Baby Sham to Rod Digger to Buster, and there's somebody else I'm missing. Lord Have Mercy and Rampage. They were all Illmatic. They were all Illmatic. It's just sad that never
didn't
came.
work out.
Yeah, at the end, and then what Electric did and those dirty scum rats. But we all know about the industry stories. We've seen it. So one album that was slept on, and I want to know that didn't come out in '99. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone.
It's one that did numbers, but it was more pop. I placed him in a pop in 97 through 99, and it's Ja Rule.
No, he was dope, man.
He was dope. I'm not taking nothing from him.
Yeah, his first album was official too.
Official. You saw the numbers it did?
Yeah. His album was class. I mean, aside from the 50 Cent mess.
No, that came later.
Yeah,
we talking about in the 90s when he first came out.
To be honest with you, and people ain't gonna like this, like when he did that album responding to 50 and all the stuff that was going on in the industry, that was an official album. But at that point, the industry had shut him down. Other than Benzino, who had his back, Def Jam didn't even really do anything with that. They just left him there. So the album was tough though. It was official. But to get back to the point of what I'm saying, yeah, Ghost and Ray, that's the one thing that is that's the head nod. We like me and you would have to sit down and write that on a board because I'm trying to think about it. And the only thing there's 2 things. They worked with RZA. That was the only producer they had. And at the time, and mind you, they made the best album out of the whole crew. I don't care what nobody say. Out the whole crew, they made the best album. Because everybody got their shot. Capadonna got his shot. Method Man got his shot. ODB got his shot. Jizza, RZA, they all got their shots. They all had their shots. So
great music.
Yeah, Master Killer, they all had their shots.
It just wasn't that purple tape.
It just wasn't that purple tape. And they all had banging albums, and they're classics in their own right with their catalogs. But as far as the whole Wu, no. Ray and Ghost had the best album. That's just facts.
Felt good to start off with hip hop, man.
Yeah, I know. People are gonna see us and like, oh snap, they really getting into it. Oh, trust me. Let me put it this way.
And this is only just a tidbit.
He took the words right out of my mouth. We have so much we can talk about with the hip hop, and there's some things that we just don't let out.
We're gonna get back.
We're gonna get back to it though. Don't worry.
Get back there, but
you'll see us more and more.
This is a little flake off the.
Yeah.
Just a little crumb.
They have no clue. You know what I'm saying?
But this was a good hip hop discussion, man. And as an old head, now that I'm officially an old head, man, I'm embracing my coming into my old head phase.
Right.
Like I said, because I enjoy good art. Like I really hope that album comes out with Pete Rock. Shout out to Pete Rock.
Facts.
Because as a DJ and a producer, like when it's said and done, like you're gonna be on Mount Rushmore. for what you did for the hip hop culture.
Mm-hmm.
If you do this album the way I know you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that's gonna put him, but that's gonna place him like,
Yeah.
my God,
Yeah.
like that's going. If he produces this album and it comes out sounding like the Purple Tape,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about Jack and the old flow, but to that ability,
Mm-hmm. It's over.
my old head ways, man.
Yeah.
Jesus. You got any more hip hop discussion, or we going over to sports land?
I think that's it. I think that was it. You know, we had kind of made a promise he wasn't going to talk about that.
Yeah, nah, we not.
goofball.
No,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah.
So let's travel over to sports. We want to start off with the NFL, or how you want to do this?
It's up to you. We can do the college or the NFL.
So let's
We
start
got-
off. Let's give respect where respect is due. So we'll give some congratulations to the student athletes. There was 2 championship games, one for the men's, one for the women's. Respect to our lady athletes first. Big shout out to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get into the LSU topic, I got to shout out UConn because one of Albany, New York, homegrown, Andre Jackson, stayed for his 3rd year. I believe he's a junior, and he's a part of that championship team.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I got to throw that out there is because I'm an old head. I remember, coming up, Schenectady had their greats, Colony had their greats, but Albany was always sprinkled in. We're starting to produce great talent in the city of Albany. Shout out to Boo Boo Bowie, who played for Northwestern too. He's, I think, keeping his eligibility and entering into the draft. I don't know what Andre Jackson is doing, but he just won a championship from Albany for UConn. Much respect to the whole UConn squad, and definitely Andre Jackson. His brother is Marcus Jackson that plays for Albany.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
shout out to the Jackson family. But let's go straight into LSU. Big shout out to LSU, man.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
I just want to make it clear. Also, salute to the men's and the women's WNIT tournaments.
Okay.
Because those schools don't get a lot of recognition like they should until you get to like the Final Four or whatever. But salute to those schools because a lot of those players, you got to remember, and not to go into a long thing, the mid-majors, they're all fighting for one spot. They're not like the
You don't
Big
get
Ten and
national
them.
TV
Right.
exposure until the end.
But even on a more important note, when they fighting to play, they're fighting to play just for one spot.
Mm-hmm.
They can't go into like the Big Ten tournament, and if they lose in the Final Four of the tournament, they're all set. They'll get in. They don't get that opportunity. So if they don't win, the WNIT is something that they have the opportunity. But even then, let's just be honest. Some kids feel like, yo, if I ain't going to the big dance, I don't want to play. Salute to all those players that end up going and give it all they got and fight and treat it the same way as if they treat it like it's the American East Championship game or their conference championship game or like the NCAA. Salute to them because they should be in there also. It's kind of like the WNBA. They don't have enough teams to fit all the quality of players that's coming out of college. So the WNIT kind of takes all the teams that they can't fit into the tournament. It's not they're not good enough to play in the tournament. They just can't fit them all in the tournament. Let's just be honest.
Makes sense.
So salute to them, and salute to the SIDs and everybody that didn't act goofy and lie and kept their word and gave opportunities to outlets of people that look like them and don't look like them, and salute to them. So all I want to say about
that's
that.
a whole nother conversation with
Sure is.
the media coverage, but we'll touch on that another day. But let's talk about LSU. I believe
Yes, let's talk about the Lady Tigers.
I believe this is Kim Mulkey, head coach Kim Mulkey's 2nd year with the Tigers. What she did in a short time span. And the reason why I'm familiar with her, because I'm a big Brittany Griner fan. She was, I believe, Brittany Griner's coach for Baylor back 10 years ago. Her and Odyssey Sims.
Yeah.
Odyssey Sims
I'm a
was an L
super
point
Odyssey
guard.
Sims fan, yeah.
But what she did with that team was very, very great. I don't think people expected her to get to this level within 2 years.
No.
Because we always expected South Carolina to run it back.
Nobody saw them getting past that. Like her getting to the Sweet 16, you could see that. But getting to the Final Four and then winning it?
Got some dogs on there, man. And what it showed in that game, because I watched that game,
Man,
when
me too.
Boosie was like, "That's the LSU Ice Spice." I forget her name, but it was the girl with the curly hair that had 21 points in the first half. My apologies for forgetting your name, but it's the one that Boosie said, "That's the LSU Ice Spice," and that went viral. But they have a very deep team, and a lot of those players are returning.
Yeah.
You know, and I believe Angel Reese made a post somewhere on social media. I guess somebody asked about the WNBA, and she made a very interesting point. She said, "Right now, I'm good where I'm at because the NIL deal, she's being taken care of with the NIL deal," which leads into a deeper discussion. I don't want to mix discussions, but I believe 4 million people watched that championship game. The way college basketball is going, some are starting to debate that that's a better product being put out than the men's and the WNBA.
Yeah. Facts.
Because you have the continuity of the players staying for 4 years. You have to stay for 4 years. They're putting out a better product right now.
Yeah.
What did you think of the championship game?
I thought it was great. I thought it was great for women's basketball because, you know, of course, we cover it.
Yes.
So to see LSU win it, I was shocked. But I liked all the storylines, in which I think the next episode will go over those storylines. But I loved all the storylines. There's nowhere else you can see all that. Like, you know, like for example, the first 4 that got in, the 2 HBCUs that got in, you know, the some of the stories of some of the teams. You know, we saw some new blood this year. It wasn't just UConn, South Carolina, Stanford. It was. Can
I shout out
Iowa.
Stanford real quick?
Yeah, you can
So shout out to Stanford women basketball. I've been a big fan because there's a player on there. There's multiple players on there, but one in particular, I want to pronounce her name correctly, Fran Balibi. I don't want to mispronounce her last name, but this was a hell of a player who had a great college career. I wanted to see her in the WNBA as a basketball fan because I thought she was going to do some transcendent things, but she has other plans. She wants to chase her career to continue to do her career to be a doctor. So she's going to Harvard University. So although as a basketball fan, I'm kind of heartbroken that you're not going to the league, got to respect your decision because you're going to change the world in one manner. Good luck on your academic success and your academic journey, you know, to be the next doctor in your family. But I just wanted to shout that out. I thought that was very important when you brought up Stanford. Go ahead.
No, you know, shouts out to it wasn't the usual Final Four. You know, this time it was Iowa, it was South Carolina, it was LSU, and Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
I want to say
there's a girl from there that's transferring.
So
that's
yeah.
a whole nother storyline.
Right. So it was different to see, like, you know, Ole Miss, they did damage in the tournament. Virginia Tech did damage in the tournament. Nobody saw them coming. They were the number 1 seed, but I don't think anybody took them seriously. UConn didn't even make it out of the Sweet 16. So you know, Notre Dame, of course, because Olivia Miles was out. So to see it get to where it was great to see Iowa and LSU go at it. It was great to see new blood. It was great to see everything that we saw, the trash talking, the game, the way the game was played, you know, just the excitement of the game. You can't get no better than what it was.
So here goes the storyline that we're gonna have to watch out for. We won't go into depth, but you brought up Virginia Tech. So a storyline before they got knocked out on the bench because she got hurt early in the year was a kind of a star player. Ashley, I can't pronounce her last name, so I won't mess up her last name, but she transferred from Maryland. Crazy shifty guard.
Right.
She gets to Virginia Tech, does her thing for a couple games, then I think injured her foot or her leg and sat out pretty much the majority of the year, but then had some problems with her team, or her team has some problems with her. Either or, not working out, she's entering the transfer portal.
Really?
Guess who she's friends with?
Yeah, Angel Reese. Wow.
So we don't know. She could be transferring over there next year.
She had issues with the team?
There was some very blatant back and forth during the championship game on Twitter where teammates were like, oh, she's not like engaged or blah, blah, blah. Why don't you ask her friends over there? Like live on Twitter.
Wow.
As they were losing. So yeah, there's many college students entering the transfer portal, of course, but for women's basketball, that could swing either way. Because what if she doesn't go there? What if she goes to South Carolina?
Right.
Because Zaya Cook and all them is
She's leaving. Yeah, they're going.
She go to South Carolina under Dawn Staley. That could tip the scale.
Facts.
Shout out to all the students real quick before I don't want to deviate.
No.
We can't talk about this episode because it's too long and lengthy, but shout out to all the student athletes that took control of their destiny and entered the transfer portal. Now, I know as sports fans, it's kind of hard because we want to see these kids stay with these schools, but they now have the key to their destiny.
Yeah, they got to do what's best for them.
They got to do what's best for them, their families. So if you enter the transfer portal, no love lost. You know, wish you nothing but the success. Any on the men's side and the women's side, all you guys do your thing, man.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I didn't want to sidetrack.
No. I just, like I said before, as far as the game, I thought it was great. I mean, LSU won by 15, and it was definitely, you know,
what they showed is you need more than one player to beat them.
Facts. I don't know what players are going to get to come to Iowa. I just don't see that.
I see. Now here's it again. You said there's a lot of storylines that we can't go into. So that is a storyline because what's out in Iowa, Like the only thing I know about Iowa, and people gonna laugh because but like I'm on Ancestry. Like I got some third, fourth cousins out. Like there's a there's a whole.
Crazy, man.
Now I'm not joking. It's the only thing I know about Iowa. But
Right.
other than that, there is going to be a kid in the transfer portal that's going to look at that saying, I could go over there with her and we can run this. She just needs a little more help, whether it's off the bench or whether it's in the backcourt, because nothing but respect to her. She's a problem.
Facts. Caitlin Clark. Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is a problem. So there's going to be some student athlete in the transfer portal that's going to say, I'm her missing piece. We're at least going to get to the Final Four next year.
Yeah.
That's one storyline to watch out for, and I'll just leave that there.
Okay.
Let's finish off with LSU because they deserve all the respect.
Right.
Obviously, the controversy was at the end of the game. Angel Reese hit her with the Tony Yayo.
That's right. Not John Cena, Tony Yayo.
Hit her with the Tony Yayo, and everybody went crazy. I don't want to say everybody. Major sports journalists and media heads that you wouldn't think went crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know the owner of Barstool, who cuts a lot of checks. I don't know if he still owns Barstool, but, gets on there, talk about, oh, this person is a piece of or probably wasn't him, but it was somebody else. But definitely, like, I'm seeing the owner of Barstool status about a 20-year-old.
Yeah, Shaq says, shut up.
He said more than shut up.
Yeah.
He's like, your mother this. And
Yeah.
I think that's the level of unity we have to have in protecting young players, no matter their ethnicity.
Yeah.
But you as a grown adult in your 30s, 40s, and 50s should not be talking down on 20-year-old student athletes. Me and you been covering college basketball for a decade. I wouldn't be dare caught saying anything about a 20-year-old. Like, I'm old enough to be some of them kids' fathers. What would I look like getting on a podcast, Twitter, or any social media platform just because somebody did a celebration and called them a piece of shit?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of undertones to that.
I think that one bothered me, and then it was Keith Olbermann that called her an effing idiot.
Yeah, him too.
That you doing too much, man. And you doing that on social media. You know anywhere else you get your ass hung upside down for talking like that.
And that's who Shaq, I think, won that. But my thing was, the obvious is the racial undertones.
Yeah.
Because where would you feel comfortable saying this to any other ethnic group?
Nowhere.
And I'm talking about any ethnic group. But for some reason, when it comes to us, like, we got to be super humble when we win.
Yeah.
When we win, we just got to say, oh, good win. Thank you. I'm going.
Yeah.
Come on, people been celebrating in football, baseball, hockey, basketball, track and field for hundreds of years. That's the culture.
Right.
Did we forget as basketball fans what Fat Five meant to basketball? And I brought this up. I think LSU has the potential to be like the Fat Five, but for the women.
Right. Right.
They got a lot of swag. They in the hip hop culture. Their point guard, who I would like to interview, is a rapper. She's a dope
I know
rapper.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Again, with me pronouncing these last names, I don't want to mess up her last name. But
I get it.
dope guard, you could bring her name up.
No,
There's just a whole movement over there. So you would expect that sports analysis as journalists or owners of media company, you could see that and say, yo, this is the new wave of basketball. Not women's basketball. This is the new wave of basketball.
Right.
You know, because LSU, when you think of LSU and basketball, I know what comes to mind with me. Shaq,
that's it.
No, that's not it.
Yeah, well, who?
Chris Jackson.
Okay. No,
You know.
you're right, yeah.
That's before he changed his name.
No, I get you.
So seeing them bring that full circle and then kind of seeing people go after them afterwards, it was a tad disheartening, man. What did you feel about that afterwards? Because it seemed like that took up more. You brought something up to me. You said Dawn Staley had an interview, a post game, where she said some things. I want you to go into that.
Yeah, so Dawn Staley had talked about it. She said that, we're not thugs, we're not criminals, we're not any of that, right? She said all that. She said this after the loss to Iowa. And a lot of people thought that she was, being a sore loser. But she wasn't being a sore loser. What she was doing was that she was addressing, and what she said was, yo, you be talking around a lot of circles. Those same circles come back and tell us what y'all saying. So we know what y'all saying behind our back. She was talking about that media. Everybody thought that she was just being a sore loser. Fast forward to Sunday. Then Angel Reese and them come out and they do what they're doing. And then you see the media calling her out names. And, like two Pacific ones. And there was more than them. Not to only mention that, then you got Biden's wife up here talking about, yo, we going to bring Iowa because we saw how hard they were playing. Really?
Can we talk about that for 5 minutes?
This is real quick. The fact what Dawn said and the fact that they felt comfortable calling her an effing idiot and a piece of, they need to get their head whooped or they need their feet to come off the ground. Now, I know you don't represent violence, but I can tell you, let me make this clear.
If you talk to,
yeah, I'm all about it. If that was my daughter and you said that, I'd be like, yo, you better never let me see you. And I'm going to try to make sure we cross paths. I want to see if you're going to say that to me in my face as a man about my daughter. That's somebody's daughter you talking about.
Exactly.
And we ain't talking about she like some rapper or something. She's a college athlete and she ain't doing nothing to your child, family, nothing. You just didn't like the way she acted when she beat that girl. So you decided to make the comment you made. But if there's somebody from a male figure from a family came up and had your feet come off the ground, then it would be wrong then, right?
Yeah.
Then it would be wrong.
Oh my God, it's just
you
words.
don't talk to somebody's daughter like that.
God, it was just Instagram.
That's the key. That was the key to why I felt the way I strongly felt about it. Like, yo, you can't be talking like that. That was wrong all the way around. And I still ain't heard no apology from either of them.
That's a good point.
I think Oberman did because I think he said he overreacted. If that's what an apology is. No, that's how you felt. You saw how you felt. That's how you felt. I just why don't he go to Shaq and go say that? Say, yo, this is how I really felt. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah, because what happened.
Yeah. Why don't you go do that?
Actually, we heard more from Wallow and Gilly on speaking on Barstool Sports than the owner there owning up. He tried to backslide a couple a
what
day
he
later.
Say?
I don't,
And it wasn't even an apology. It's probably like Oberman.
Yeah, like a backhanded backpedal. It is what it is.
I salute to Wallow. I don't know because Gully. I know you don't want to do this, but Gully TV brought something. Let me say this about Gully. I don't agree with everything he says, but I'm trying to figure out when he's really been wrong. Let me leave that right there.
The old sayings, stop me when you hear a lie.
Yeah.
And although we might not agree with some talking points,
I'm trying to figure out when he's been wrong. I'm trying to figure out when he's been wrong. when Wallow said, because Wallow said, "Yo, child, I got this," cuz he got up in the front and said what he had to say. Salute to him for speaking up. And then Gilly's like, "Yeah, we love you, Dave." What are you doing? What are you doing? No, I don't love you, man.
It's just like what you said. Like, I got a daughter that turns 5 this weekend. Imagine if she grows up being a student athlete, and I got to take this from the media, and you think I'm gonna come back around a week later? Oh, I know you're my business partner. I hear what you're saying. We love you. No. That's gonna be a private conversation. That's gonna go one of two ways. You're gonna give my daughter an apology in my face.
Preach.
Or whatever is gonna happen behind closed doors is gonna happen.
If your daughter was on that, let's just say your daughter was on that team and that happened, and I heard that. Like, I'm the cousin. I'm not even the father. Mm-hmm. I'm like, if I know he'd do that, it's on site. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, if you're going to a coffee shop, wherever you're going, I'm gonna catch you. That's once again somebody's daughter you talking about. I don't feel comfortable talking about nobody's child, period. That alone, you ought to just apologize on the strength of that. And I don't really see too many people coming out and saying, "Yo, these dudes need to apologize. We need to jump on them." The same way we jump on athletes when they make mistakes, you need to give them the same energy. Exactly. Overman needs to get suspended for that. You need to be suspended with no pay. And that Barstool clown, like, "Yo, you got one more time, man, and we gonna shut you down." And and I think from what Gully TV reported, Gully TV reported, this isn't his first incident.
Oh no!
So
he's had multiple incidents.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of looking at him like, see, Wallow said something before about, he's like, "Yo," and I'm not gonna get into who he's talking about. I knew who he's talking about. He said, "Yo, when I was trying to first do my thing, with the podcast, he said somebody was telling me to do it for the culture." When he said it, I knew exactly who he was talking to. He said, "I'm trying to feed my babies. There's some checks you shouldn't take." That check you shouldn't take from now. I highly doubted Wallow knew about that history, and they signed over there. Salute to them, and they're getting money from what they're doing. But I know for a fact, I just got this feeling, if they knew about his history, one, they wouldn't be surprised the comment he made, and two, I don't think they'd be over there.
Well, he made a good point by saying it's a licensing deal, and they still own their content. Who knows what's going to happen when this contract is up?
Yeah,
they got their millions, then they could do
like,
something
I
else.
get out of here, man. I ain't rocking with you.
But
because there's a like you said, is a racial undertone. Mm-hmm. You're just using different words to say it.
Yeah.
So you're calling her effing idiot, but you really want to say something else. You're selling her a piece of shit, but you really want to say something else.
Exactly.
Which is what, because I can hear it when you're saying it.
Oh, trust me, you both got family from the South, so
facts.
Those are trigger words for us.
Yeah. And matter of fact, I'm not gonna put you in that position. I've been in corporate America. I know when they're calling it to me. There's words that they use, but I've been in corporate America.
Me too.
I know when they're saying it to me. So I just be looking at them like, yeah, okay.
Them trigger words.
You walking on the line. I don't think you understand me. Those words was what is underlined for what you really wanted to say.
Those are cold words. Yeah.
So Oberman to me, if I ever seen him, like I gotta get on him, man. I gotta do it. Or like, you can't come over here. You gotta get away from me.
And it's sad because it seems like the controversy at the end overshadowed their win.
Yeah.
Because there's some great things happening. Like, I want to go back real quick before we switch topics about the power of the NIL.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy both of these players' jerseys. Hell, I would buy all 5 of them. But Angel Reese, and if you could bring up her name, the guard, I'll try to bring it up real quick. They're releasing a limited edition jersey with their names on it. Do you know how hard that is to find?
Floyd J. Johnson.
Yeah, Floyd J. Johnson.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. She's a dope rapper. I want to say artist. She's a dope artist, but I
think Wayne is doing something with her too.
Even crazy basketball player. Both of them, through the NIL, are releasing special limited edition jerseys.
Wow.
And they look crazy. They look dope.
Yeah.
Go out and get their jerseys, support them student athletes. But that's changing the game, because even when you go find jerseys, they're just usually for college purposes. They're just the college. You can't really get the ones with the name on the back unless you customize them.
Right.
Like, these student athletes are taking the power back. Like, now we want to do an NIL deal with our jerseys.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to buy a couple of them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Can I say something as a side note? I hope that one day we're talking about HBCU school doing that. Let me just leave that right there.
Hold up.
I'm going to say this one more time. I hope that one day We're talking about an HBCU school doing
know,
what they did.
I think, did he do it? He did it, but it happened so quick, it went unnoticed.
Wow.
Shador Sanders released his Jackson State, but it was so quick because I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it. It was like sold out.
No, not the Jersey thing.
Oh, you talking about this
I'm
school
talking
in general?
about going to the Final Four and winning it and beating the big giant.
Okay.
At some point, and it will happen one day, don't know how it is or when it'll happen, somebody's going to take the hit. There's going to be 2 or 3 athletes going to go down there and do what they know how to do best, and they're going to run through.
I really thought this year the CAA had the best chance. And I know this, I don't want to sidetrack, but North Carolina A&T was wreaking havoc through the CAA. Mm-hmm. And they looked like at one point they were going to win the conference. Mm-hmm. They win that conference and get in the tournament, they was going to create hell for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they would have got to the championship, but I could see them in the Elite Eight had they won that conference. Mm-hmm. So watch out next year for North Carolina A&T. Mm-hmm. You know, that's going to be a if I had to put my money on an HBCU team coming out their conference into the tournament, it's them. Yeah. That's just one.
Right.
But I don't want to sidetrack you. Go ahead.
No, I just hope that one day we see a HBCU school doing it. And that's no diss to Dawn Staley or nothing, because she's salute to her for bigging up Norfolk State when she played them, right? She said, yo, they dogs. I wish instead of us being a winning coach going to big up the HBCU, there's a winning coach over there doing it with the HBCU. No shots or nothing. I'm just saying I hope that one day that happens. That's all.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Definitely
agree. Shout out to LSU.
And go ahead.
They're gonna run it back next year.
Yep.
I got them at least in the Final Four. Mm-hmm. God forbid any, no injuries. If they're healthy, you still got injuries. You still got all them players on the bench. You might have some transfer students coming in. Looking at a return trip to the finals next year from. But go ahead, what you was gonna say?
I just want to touch on the Joe Biden thing. I don't understand why you would do that. I do, but I don't understand. At this stage, and let me say what I say, because we don't work for Fox ESPN.
What was the excuse that she used for inviting both teams?
She said that Iowa really played hard, and she felt bad for those girls because they lost. And I just want to say this: after everything your husband has been showcased, because let's be honest, before you got with Obama as a vice president, that's the only way you got your behind in there.
Oh, we going here?
Yeah, I am. You clearly showcased how you really felt about people of color. That's clearly how you really feel, because now I'm seeing it again. That wasn't a coincidence. You were there, and you, even after the ladies won, decided to feel bad for a predominantly white team. Let's call it what it is. And said they need to be invited to the White House too. Really? And then you didn't even apologize. You just had your representative come out and say,
the PR agent tried to clean it up.
LSU will be at the White House. Really? Really? I just wonder, as bad as Trump said, there's one thing Trump said, and nobody likes, they're all against Trump. There's one thing that Trump said.
I do not support Donald Trump, because I already know how this internet does. But go ahead.
There's one thing that Trump said when he was debating Biden. He said, you keep blaming me and talking about I'm making all this racist rhetoric and firing up all these racist people, right? He said, you've been in the government for I don't know how many years. He said, I just got here. He said, what you done for people of color? Got real quiet in the room. So to go off to where I'm going with this, because I don't want to sidetrack it to that, you now have your wife out here pulling some mess like that. That clearly did not sit well with black women that were watching that game. That clearly didn't sit well with black men that were watching that game.
People of color
and the same people of color that voted your husband in, they're going to remember that come down the pipeline. I just want you to say
around the corner.
So if I was you, and if it was that important to you that he gets back in, you might want to apologize and hope that you get the same results you got. So I just want to say about that. And let me say this.
See, reason why we say we cover sports, hip hop, and politics, because it's all intertwined.
Yep.
This is why we always say that's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah.
Because we could spend an hour on that topic alone.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So I think you just might want to apologize. And maybe she thinks, oh, well, look at the option. Yeah, I know. I just want to say the same thing he said. You've been in this situation for years. So, and let me not get on what they've done in the past 4 because we're not in that realm. We're not on that topic right now. It just looked bad that you felt that bad for them that you wanted to bring them to the house. Because I highly doubt it if it was them, you would have done it. If it was vice versa, you wouldn't have said that.
It's never been done in the history of sports.
No, because you don't do it.
Baseball, basketball. Pardon me. Only the championship team that wins is invited. I never heard the runner-up. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody from social media will correct me, but I never saw it before.
And saying that, I hope Angel Reese goes. I just want her to enjoy the moment. Just let it go. Enjoy the moment. But I don't
She's
think
been
she's
10
gonna,
toes down.
I don't think she's
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think LSU is going to go, but I think some players are going to sit out.
Yeah.
And a few players might go to the Bombers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Obama.
Yeah.
House or whatever. I don't know how that goes.
Yeah, I know.
But I think LSU is going to go because their athletic director put out a tweet. No, we want the invite. So, yeah, they're going to go. But I see players standing 10 toes down because they have the power. Yo, I'm making money in my NIL deal.
It's like Dame said, if we shut down, there ain't no league. Just that simple. Which we'll go into that conversation soon.
So we still got some time left.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We good. Either way, we good. Don't worry about it.
I know, but it's getting past my bedtime.
Oh,
I'm getting
my
old.
God, man. What you doing?
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Right.
But we rolling.
No,
you
it's
want
all
to stay in
good.
college basketball, or do we want to talk about the NFL?
I think for right now, we're gonna come back to this in the next episode because we'll have more time. We just had so many topics. But for right now, that was the biggest one. And I think that, like I said, if I was LSU, they're going to come back with an aggression. I got a feeling.
Because they know everybody's going to be coming for the crown.
Yeah. They're going to come back with an aggression. And they should. And let me say this, one more thing. Like when Caitlin Clark did what she did, I didn't have a problem with it either. I had no problem with it when she was waving off the South Carolina guards.
I mean, you text about that.
And she was doing it, yeah.
Like you text me, you see that? I was like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah. I had no problem with
Me
it.
neither.
You know what I'm saying?
You just got to take it when it comes back.
Yep. And it did.
It's just like in basketball.
Yeah,
you might cross somebody and talk, but when that person gets you back on the other end, you can't start crying and walk off the court.
Yeah, it came right back. It came back like 40 hours later. Woo, Lord mercy, Jesus. That's all I want to say. Oh.
Shout out to all the student athletes.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of storylines in college basketball, a lot of kids hitting the transfer portal. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening, which we'll be discussing in future podcasts. So we're going to talk about the elephant in the room with the NFL.
Yeah. Let's just
So we're switching over to NFL land. The great Lamar Jackson. This is excuse my language, this is an effing travesty. What's going on with him? Yeah. Somebody made a good point. It's probably Cameron on his podcast that he did.
Okay.
When he said, that looking at the Lamar Jackson situation, it's not like Colin Kaepernick, because when Colin Kaepernick did what he did, he was like 32. He was on the backslide of his career, even though he was still healthy.
Yeah.
He was still on the backside of his career.
Facts.
This kid just turned 26. So we're going to spend some time discussing the contract situation with the Ravens deciding to franchise tag him. And then now what we're seeing in the media about the contract.
Right.
So I want you to lead the discussion on this.
All right. So everybody knows with the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. It's basically Lamar Jackson wants a new deal. That's what it's coming down to. But he doesn't want, the normal deal, which is the 5 years, $200 million. He wants the Deshaun Watson deal, the 5 years, $240 million. Understandably so. And the way he's looking at it is like, I've done more than Deshaun Watson. I've never gotten in trouble a day in my life. So I am the franchise quarterback. Like we all saw what happened when he left. I don't even think they didn't even make the playoffs. he wants this deal. What this comes down to is, and this is really, it's about Lamar Jackson, but it's not. It's more the owners don't want to give that deal. They don't want guaranteed contracts in the league. If they do, not like that. Not like the Watson deal. Because it'll flood the gates. Because see, with the Watson deal, now I want to see what's going to happen with Herbert and Joe Burrow when they come around. Because you're going to have to pay them. So after this Watson deal, I never forgot, the word coming out was that, the going rate's going to be $240 million. It's going to at least be that.
And this is coming after knowing he didn't play all season.
Yeah. So Watson, everybody knew that. But Watson got into a lot of trouble. I supposedly. First of all, I don't want to get into all that. I'm not going to talk about off the field. But just character-wise, I don't know. I don't feel he seemed like a great dude. He's, you never heard a player say a bad thing. Through all that situation, usually some players, they don't want to play with a guy. I never heard that with Watson. But he is a franchise quarterback. And Cleveland said, we want you, and this is what we're going to do. So Lamar Jackson comes up and says, well, now it's my turn. Mm-hmm. And I want the same thing, if not better. And and Baltimore is basically saying no. They're only going to do what they did for Kirk Cousins. Like, they gave him a 3-year guaranteed deal, but they wasn't going to give him 5 years guaranteed. They don't want to do it. The problem is with that is that you're fighting against the owners who own the league. So it's kind of hard to have that fight.
And I think I think it's twofold. I think it's that, but then the flip side to that is what people have talked about. They don't want to let the floodgates open because I don't know if it's his mother or stepmother is representing him. I want to say it's his mother as the agent. What that then becomes is, oh, hey, an independent person who didn't go to college is now an NFL agent. Mm-hmm. And we could see the same situation that happened with LeBron and his boy.
Rich Paul.
Well, Rich Paul. How they try to undermine him. And I'm not saying he did everything right. There's some things he did wrong, but you got to fail before you get to where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to swing and miss. So they're looking at this saying, if we let him get this $250 million or whatever it is, and his mother is the agent, and she did it independently, now what happens? And I'm all for her seceding.
Right.
I want this to happen.
Right.
Do you think that steps up the level of collusion? Because it's from the statements that we heard from a few owners, one owner from yours particularly, but it seems like now owners are coming out. Well, we're not putting a bid in for him. Yeah. Well, let's look at your team and see what are you doing.
Right. Because they lost it because they all lost on Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. So they know for them to get to Watson, they're gonna have to do what everybody else did. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to do the $200 million deal. They want to do what they want to do, which is saying we'll give you 3 years, but we ain't giving you 5 guaranteed.
The problem is the teams that are speaking up. What is their backup option? And it wasn't just Atlanta; it was 2 other teams.
Carolina was one.
And that's a disgrace that Carolina would say that.
Who else was interested? The Jets. Because they brought in Derek Carr, and it didn't work out. And then they went to Aaron Rodgers, which I think they're gonna have to pay him $50 million for the next 2 years.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I don't understand.
The great
because they have to
Aaron
pick up that money. Unless Green Bay pays out some of that money, they're gonna have to pay out the entirety of the rest of that contract.
The great Aaron Rodgers. What has he done recently?
I know. And the Jets were one team. I know Robert Kraft talked about, he was trying to tell Bill Belichick, but I just don't see that happen. That's a no-no. Don't go over there. There's one more team. Anyway, there was one more team. There's like at least five teams looking at them. But nobody wants to pay that money. They don't want to do what the Haslam's did, because if you do it again, there's no going back. So if they all stand strong on this, they'll be okay. Arthur Blank knows better. He knows he needs Lamar Jackson. And then they asked him about the Deshaun Watson thing, and he's like, well, we tried with Deshaun Watson. And even though it was a reasonable explanation, it still doesn't justify it. He says, well, we've got out of that contract that we had to pay all that money to Matt Ryan. We just got out of it. So now we're out of salary cap hell. I don't think you understand. You're going to go with Desmond Ridder. You got all these pieces. So to sidetrack on a side note with Atlanta, this is what he did. He said, let me pull it up. Pull it up right now. He said, and I quote, close that. That was then, this is now. Every year is different. Deshaun was a different situation. It was a different time and space. I think Lamar is a great player. He was an MVP for the league in 2019. But we look at our roster and our ability to continue to build our roster now and have salary cap freedom, which we've never had. Then he goes on to say, we love what Ridder has done, and we love the weapons that we've built around him. We love the fact that we were active this year in free agency, and we'll have that in the future. And we have 8 picks this year. We want to continue to build on the draft picks we've had the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Keep going, because I got a nice comparison for
So he says that. So 2 years ago, you hired Arthur Smith, the Titans coach, which I don't know why. But anyway, you got
a lovely comparison for this situation.
You got to ride with that ship, right? You brought Marcus Mariota over here. First of all, you try to see what was going to go with Matt Ryan. Then you got caught trying to go to Deshaun Watson. So you had to trade Matt Ryan to Indy because you knew that wasn't going to work. Then you stuck with Marcus Mariota. All of a sudden, he couldn't play. And it was they benched him for the last 4 games. You said, we're going to go with Desmond Ridder. At the end, and I got to go back and look at the season-ending press conference. They were like, what did they say? They said, they said, well, Ridder hasn't earned a job yet. This whole thing with Lamar Jackson comes out, and they said they weren't interested. Well, what were you going to do? You only have Desmond Ridder. Like it was Mariota, and then Ridder was the backup. I think there was another kid there, but he's playing tight end at this point. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? And then they've come under constant scrutiny because they got Jonnu Smith, a tight end from New England, he's okay. They got the running game. They got Taylor Heineke. I'm sorry. They got Taylor Heineke. They got Scotty Miller. And that's on the offensive side. There's 3 other players that they got on the defensive side that I'm not going to name right now. I don't understand. When you got a generational talent like Lamar Jackson, why would you want to build around Desmond Ridder? Why don't you just go for the juggler? Remember what I said before. If Atlanta focuses on now, 2 years ago, they'll be ahead of the curve by the time Brady retires. Brady retired, now they're restarting again. So
there's a similar but different situation happening in the NBA with the Dallas Mavericks. So the only reason why the Dallas Mavericks is a little different because they actually have a franchise player even when this goes bad because it's going bad right now. Mm-hmm. Mark Cuban came out and tried to downplay what happened with Jalen Brunson. As you see, the Knicks, I believe, are clinched in the East, and Jalen Brunson is playing like the dog we know he is.
Facts.
You could have paid Jalen Brunson in Dallas and ran it back and got back to the conference finals. You let him go. You let Spencer Dinwiddie go. Yeah. You let some other pieces go to get who? The great Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
And how is that working out for them, May?
Not good.
It looks horrendous.
Looks bad.
Once again for the 3rd time on 3 different teams.
And their star players checked out.
Mentally.
Sounds like.
Oh, yeah, I heard the press conference with him.
Sounds like
he's mentally
Durant.
checked out.
Yeah. Durant mentally checked out.
So now you saying, hey, as an owner, I didn't want to pay Jalen Brunson because I thought I can nickel and dime. He tried to say, parents got involved. His father was supposed to get involved because he saw that you was trying to nickel and dime, and his value shot up through the playoffs. Right. He's like, no, you're not about to get no 3-year, $30 million deal.
Right.
You see what these players out here getting?
Right.
This kid's worth $100 million. What did the Knicks give him?
Yeah, $100 million.
All right. Well,
they gave him what he wanted. Yeah.
You got Kyrie Irving for this year. Have fun. because you'll be right back to the drawing board at the end of the season, like the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
You can't nickel and dime your way to a championship. You actually have. This is one thing, and you know baseball better than me, but this is one thing that people used to complain about the Yankees back in the 90s. They spent money.
Yeah. Yes.
If you're a baseball fan, you know what I'm talking about in the 90s. The Yankees spent that money.
Right.
Some people say they brought championships, but they spent the money and got the players they needed.
Right. Let me say something about the Lamar Jackson situation. What makes it crazy? The players need to step up. This is not going to stop. Because if you want to say, well, that's the quarterbacks and Lamar Jackson's problem, it's going to be your problem too.
Yep.
They're not going to give guaranteed contracts.
You see what Le'Veon Bell went through a couple years back.
They're not going to give guaranteed contracts. So if y'all don't step up on this next CBA, because the thing they're not getting is the TV money keeps going up.
That means the owners are getting more money.
But somehow the cap is staying the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So y'all need to figure it out. You're going to have to take the L. Stop having this mentality is, well, I'm only going to play for 3 years, so why should I even bother? Maybe that'll change if y'all stand strong. And they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Demore Smith, the guy from the NFLPA, he just, I think it was Earn Your Leisure or the Pivot podcast. He did one of the podcasts because I came down heavy on him, and he made the point. He said, I try to talk to the players. We need to go on strike. We'll fight everything. It's like baseball. He said, if you ever notice, he said, this is the league. He said, I know the NBA is predominantly black. But he said, if you ever notice, he said, the NFL is the only league that doesn't give guaranteed contracts. You ever notice that? So he tries to explain to the players, we need to go on strike. He said, you know what the players tell him? I only got 3 years in the league. Why would I want to spend one of those years going on strike and not getting any money? So you so selfish, you're not thinking about the players that's coming behind you. Then later on, you get a TV gig, you start saying the same things that Shannon Sharp been saying. Shannon Sharp said the same thing. He said, we talk about going on strike, and then somebody sells out. It doesn't.
Somebody toes the line and breaks the line.
We do not stick together. He said, it always happens. He said, that's why we can't get guaranteed contracts.
What do you think the outcome of this situation is going to be? Because somebody say he needs to sit out a year.
If he does, I think he'll get.
Then you know how the NFL do.
Yeah.
Oh, he's 27 now.
Yeah,
they like playing this crazy game.
He won't get blackballed, but either I think he's gonna have to take a 3-year guaranteed deal. I think unless he sits out the whole year. Now, if he wants to do that, maybe it'll happen, but I highly doubt it. Because the Ravens are not going to bend.
If he sits out, what will be the Ravens' Band-Aid to try to fix this? Because I would love it as a Steelers fan. Oh, please sit out Lamar Jackson.
He's going to be.
Pretty please.
He's going to be in restart mode. The Ravens are going to be in restart mode because even though they got
so that might benefit them. I mean, benefit
what's
him.
The backup quarterback's name? Tyler Huntley, who's a good quarterback, but your team's not built for him. It's built for Lamar Jackson. So at this point, if you want to restart all over again, I don't know how you're going to sell to the fan base. I don't know how you're going to do it. But I mean, if that's what they want to do and that's what you want to save money, good luck and God bless. But he's going to either have to take the deal, the 3-year deal, or he's going to have to sit out a year.
I can't tell no athlete what to do with their pockets because it would be hypocritical of me. But I would analyze the financial position I'm in with my agents, with my accountant, and say, hey, do we have enough money in the bank? If we got enough chips in the bank, then I might do it.
Yeah.
I can't talk about anybody's financial positions because everybody is different. But that's what I would do if I was Lamar Jackson. I would say, hey, we got it. We got $20 million in the bank.
Yeah.
Then F it. I'll be 27 next year.
Yeah.
And I want a team to tell me I'm too old at 27 to get a contract.
And that's less wear and tear on his body. So
I didn't take no hits. I'm 27.
I think he'll get. I think they were offering him $200 million. See, they just don't want to give that deal, this Deshaun Watson deal.
And I'm not trying to compare him. I'm not trying to compare him to Le'Veon Bell because trust me, they're two different players. One's a running back, one's a quarterback, and even even overall, he's a better player. But you saw how they did Le'Veon Bell when he tried to sit out that year, and he was around the same age.
Yep. And then he had to go to a team that didn't even like
Didn't
Adam
even
Gase.
want him.
Adam Gase didn't want him. The Jets wanted him, but Adam Gase didn't want him.
So I hope that doesn't happen to him if he decides to sit out, like it's a Le'Veon Bell situation.
Yeah. It's going to get to a point where the players are going to have to take a stand, whether they want to or not. They're going to be forced to take a stand, and I don't think they want to. They want to do it, but they're going to have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Just saying. Like I said, this is bigger than him. The teams that were sitting out, they all the owners are colluding. They're basically saying, "Don't give him a deal."
So there's straight up collusion.
Yeah, it's hard to prove it.
Oh,
but
okay. So that's what I was about to get to.
It's hard to prove it, but they're basically all saying, "Don't give him that deal." They're pissed that the Haslam's did that because it opened the floodgates. I keep saying this at some point. Mind you, Roger Goodell's getting paid $70 million a year. I think his deal.
Putting out this horrible product.
I think his deal is $70 million. His new deal coming up.
Okay.
The commissioner is getting double digits in millions, while the players are fighting for scraps and pennies. Lamar Jackson can't get it. Wow. I don't understand it. And you know what the commissioner does? He just sits there and takes the L's. Like he sits there in the front for the owners. So Roger Goodell is a waste of time. Oh, as a side note, shouts out to Jim Trotter because it co-signs what we've been saying, and we will address this on the next podcast. Jim Trotter got fired from the NFL Network. I don't know if you know who he is, but it was a big story. I'll send you the link, or you can Google it. He addressed at the NFL owners meeting or players meeting, whatever, that they're having recently. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how there was no black representation in media in the NFL. Hardly any. And any high-level positions. What have we been talking about?
For how many years?
Yeah.
Because trust us, we go through it on a smaller level in college.
Yep.
But
and when we go through it with the
in the NFL too. Yeah.
With teams in New York, specifically two teams in the state of New York that play in Jersey but are in the state of New York. So to get that hint of who we're talking about, and they're represented by people that look like us.
Go figure.
Yeah. Jim Trotter, if you ever see this, you need to holler at me. I could tell you some stories. Trust me. So he got let go.
Shout out to the Jets.
Yeah. And the Giants. Who have their own representative. We ain't gonna get into that yet.
Whole nother story.
Don't worry. I'm so gonna make you famous one day. Go ahead.
It's interesting. That's a good story that we're definitely going to talk about. But
yep, we've been saying it all along.
That's my only solution. Going back to Lamar Jackson, is for him to sit down with his team, have a healthy discussion about where they at financially, and if they can afford to take that hit for the long run.
I just wonder how long we're going to keep tolerating the blatant racism in the NFL. How many times are the players going to keep looking the other way? How many times is the media people that work for Fox and ESPN going to keep looking the other way? How many times? How many times are the people that work for the media for the NFL teams going to keep looking the other way? That's on the other level. Now, on the other bigger level with Lamar Jackson, the topic we're talking about, it's becoming a real issue, and he's not going to get it from the Ravens. I don't know if there's a team that's going to do it, but he's not going to get it from the Ravens. And I'm shocked that Mr. Bisciotti would do that, because what is your game plan? What is your game plan? Okay, you went with Flacco for 2 or 3 years, and you were hardly winning at that point. Even though you won a Super Bowl with Flacco, after that, you had to end up drafting. And you got a high draft pick because of the way Flacco was playing. Do you really want to go back to that?
He's about to.
Maybe they're that cocky that they think they're going to get it. I don't know. But just give them the money. You don't have to give him $240 million, but maybe at least $200.
I think what he, if I remember correctly, it was about the years on a contract and the guaranteed money.
Yeah.
So let's say you don't get 225 or 250, but you get 200, but like 180 or 190 is it has to be north of what Kyler Murray made.
Oh God, yeah. And that was a waste of money. Which, oh, by the way, as a side note, did you see there's reports coming out about the owner being accused of blatant racist and coward and bullying behavior?
No way.
Yeah, Bidwell.
Really,
yeah.
eh?
I keep telling you.
Another owner in the NFL. We're finding out that's overt racist.
Yeah, it's gonna come crashing down. It's only a matter of time, and I'm gonna keep saying it. You could put Goodell out in the front, because that was the thing about the Jim Trotter thing. Not to cut you off, he called Goodell out last year at the owners' meeting, and not called him out, but he addressed it in front of the media for the world to see, and he did it again this year. And just ironically, he was let go a month after that happened. You can address Goodell right on the natural stage.
You know what we call that in corporate America?
What's that?
Retaliation.
Yeah, facts.
I'm pretty sure he has his legal representation looking at that.
Yep, and Bedwell just got called out about his mess. But I'm sorry, go back to the point you were making. I just had to bring that out.
No, I was saying as far as Lamar Jackson, the compromises, I think the years and the guarantee money. So let's say you can't get 225, but you can get 200 and 175 guaranteed 4 years. You gotta get as close to 200 as possible, because that's what the market is set at.
Yeah.
And y'all did it as owners. Y'all did it as owners, not just with Deshaun Watson, but with other contracts. I know he looked at Russell Wilson's contract. I know he looked at Kyler Murray's contract. It's like, I just won the MVP how many years ago? And I'm only 26. I'm not 30.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is what the market is set at. So either pay me or...
Yeah. Jalen Hurts' contract is coming.
Him too.
Joe Burrow's contract is coming. Justin Herbert's contract is coming.
And you think they're going to take 150?
No,
really?
Hell no.
You really think Joe Burrow, as good as Joe Burrow is going to take 150? He's going to be a $200 million contract.
I think that's what Lamar Jackson's waiting on.
He wants them,
what you give them. You're gonna show me what you're gonna pay him, and if I gotta sell out the year to find out.
So when is their contracts up?
Burrow went to the Super Bowl in year 2, year 3. I think they get 5 years. Okay. So I think this is coming around. This is year 4. Yeah, second year, third year. Yep, this is year 4. So they can extend it 5, and then I think they can put the franchise tag. Now Burrow might take it, but at some point you gotta let him walk out that door. You gotta pay him. Herbert's going to do the same thing. I can tell you right now what's going to happen. They're going to franchise tag him. If they can't get a deal, they're going to franchise tag him. I think you only franchise tag for 2 years. They're going to walk right out that door. I'm going to say this again to the players. Before this next CBA comes, I got to get ready to go on a strike. They just got I forgot the deal, but it was like billions of dollars from YouTube TV for this new NFL deal. It's not going to be DirecTV no more. You got to go through YouTube.
Talked about this
you got to go through YouTube TV now.
We saw this
to watch the games. So why aren't the players getting a piece of this?
We saw this coming years ago,
and that's why they should have never tried to redo that deal 2 years before they were supposed to initially do it. The thing is that's kicking the Ravens in the butt. Not to keep going about this. When Lamar Jackson won that playoff game in his 3rd year, you should have offered him the money right then and there. You could have never. You could have
got it out the way.
Yeah, you could have got the way.
You tried to wait
but
to
you
the
kept
very
waiting,
end.
and you got cocky. You was like, "Oh, we're gonna get the deal done." Good luck. Look at what you're dealing with now. And now let me go here. Now you're in a conference with Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson, and Joe Burrow.
The Steelers are coming.
Let me say that again. You're in a conference, just your division alone. We're not even talking about the whole AFC with all the other quarterbacks that's in there, with Mahomes and Herbert and Josh Allen on them. And now Aaron Rodgers is coming over there. You're in a division with Kenny Pickett, Joe Burrow, and Deshaun Watson. And you playing games over here with Lamar Jackson saying, we ain't going to give you the money. We're going to work with Tyler, whatever his name is. I forgot. I hope that works. I really do. Yeah. It's going to work out well for you.
I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm laughing at this whole thing.
Yeah.
Keep playing
games. I know
games.
Tomlin's laughing. He's got to be so laughing. Like, yo, we drafted this kid, and, they did what they were supposed to do.
Let him develop.
They drafted this kid to develop, but they looking over across at Baltimore like, yeah, good luck, because you ain't do what we had to do. Like, Roethlisberger retired. They know if Pickett, the way it's looking, Pickett's going to be that kid. So they know they're going to have to pay money. But at least they know what they're dealing with because they're seeing what's going on over here. They know Burrow ain't going nowhere. So they're going to have to cut a check. And they ain't stupid. And trust me, teams are watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And they know. So I can tell you right now what's going to happen. I think Jalen Hurts is coming. That it's reported he's getting a $200 million deal. It's reported
for the way he played at the Super Bowl,
and that was only in his third. I think it's his third year.
I hate to say this, but that loss wasn't on him.
Yeah. So he's coming. He's coming with the contract. At some point, somebody's going to break the bank. They're all sitting back waiting. And the thing is, if you got a quarterback that's coming, now watch what Atlanta does. Let's just hypothetically say Desmond Ridder pans out and he starts showing his praise. The minute he goes into the playoffs, you better cut whatever the highest paid contract is, and you better just top it then. Mm-hmm. Just get rid of it. Get out of it and just start working with it now. Because if you don't, you're going to be facing what the Ravens are. That is the narrative that all these teams need to take right now. Just do it now and get it over with. Because the longer you wait, the worse it's going to get.
So where we go from here, man?
So let's talk about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers.
We're going to finish it off on this because I know you've been wanting to talk about Aaron Rodgers for a minute.
Well, it's a thing of with the Jets, and they're another team that could have went after Lamar Jackson, but they came out fast and said they're not interested. Mind you, they're going to have to give up some draft picks, and they're going to have this. But Aaron Rodgers, on the flip side, let's start at Green Bay.
Okay.
So we know that now Green Bay is ready to move on with Jordan Love. And I think from what either the GM and some also as players have said, Jordan Love is ready to play. He's ready to play. I think they realize that even after Aaron Rodgers has held them hostage for a number of years, and rightfully so, he was who he was. You know,
keyword, past tense.
I think that what would be him being better for the Jets is Green Bay is a young up-and-coming team, where the Jets are young, but they ready now. And the thing is that Green Bay couldn't build really around that because they're going to have to pay what type of money? Like, they're going to have to pay, what are they going to have to pay? They're going to have to pay, they're going to have to pay Aaron Rodgers all that money. So they can't go and get a big market free agents. And they don't feel like catering to everything that Aaron Rodgers does. Like the Jets are going to have to do right now. So Green Bay said, no, we're done. We had enough. We were in contention for a playoff bid, but we didn't get to the playoffs. We just need to just rip the Band-Aid off and go on with Jordan Love. So the Jets say, hey, because the Jets situation was they drafted Zach Wilson. He clearly was not ready. Whether he's a bad quarterback or not, that has yet to be seen. He needs to develop. We all know that. But clearly in the locker room, he was not the guy. And even when the backup quarterback, who's now in Miami, Mike White, to see how good the Jets really were, when he played, it was like night and day. Mm-hmm. The Jets were a completely different team. So now, fast forward moving, they're now ready to say, hey, we need a quarterback who can win us now. So they say, we're going to go get Aaron Rodgers. That sounded okay till Lamar Jackson was available. And my thing is what I'm saying.
But you pointed something out. You said the Jets ain't going to want to spend that money.
Well, because I think their plan is, I'm not defending it, but I think what their plan is, well, we're going to take Aaron Rodgers for his last 2 years. And then Zach Wilson will be ready to play.
The great Zach Wilson.
So then we'll be ready to deal with Zach Wilson. But the thing is with this, and the difference between him and Jackson, you're going to have to, you can't just be good and get to the playoffs. This is like, we're bringing you over here because we need it. We need to win a Super Bowl. We're not bringing you here for anything else. We're not bringing you just for us to get a step better. You have to win a Super Bowl. So at this point, I get that part. But if it doesn't work, now what? And if Zach Wilson ain't ready by the time this blows up in the face, now what? As opposed to you taking a chance and saying, hey, we'll give Lamar Jackson what he wants. We'll give you 2 first-round picks. And a player. And that way, because the difference between Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson, it's like they're looking for a Tom Brady deal. But at that time, there was no quarterbacks out there that could go to Tampa and win the Super Bowl like
Can I
Brady.
jump? Thank you.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to finish on that point.
Yeah.
That's where the Jets are going to mess up.
Yeah.
There's one Tom Brady.
Right.
The dude damn near threw his whole freaking marriage away to play football at 45 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's dedicated to keeping his body up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is like that, but he's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's like, oh, well, let's see these archaic quarterbacks that's on their way out the door and sign them for 3 years. And look what Tom Brady did. Really? There's one Tom Brady. And then look at the pieces he had around him that year. Because we damn sure saw what happened the next year and the year after that.
Facts.
Look, nothing the same, right? And you're going to try this with him who hasn't won since when?
Did they make the playoffs the year before? Nope. Yeah, they did. They got shut out. Yeah, they haven't won a Super Bowl in years.
Yeah, I
since that
remember
was against the Steelers. Yeah,
since my Steelers.
Oh,
and we should have won that. Because that
was like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was like 2010.
Yeah, my grandfather. That was right around the time. And neither here there.
So, in my head, I'm like, it's not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out. Again, owners are trying to penny pinch our way to championships.
Yeah.
If you really want a championship, you're going to have to spend money. That's any team, that's any sport. Mm-hmm. Look at what Golden State is doing. Mm-hmm. The reason why they're in title contention is because the money they got locked up in their core.
Yeah.
And then the owner spent the money on that stadium. Not the stadium, I'm sorry, the building. Mm-hmm. Imagine if they said, oh, we don't want to extend Clay.
Yeah.
Oh, we want to trade Draymond Green.
Right.
That franchise would be over with.
Right.
Same thing back when the Spurs was running. Look at the money they had locked up in their core.
Facts.
Any team that wants to win, unless, this happens like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got to spend a lot of money developing the core.
Right.
Or this penny pinching, oh, we're going to try to get this 30-year-old over here for 2 years. And all right, okay.
Yeah.
I just know the history of sports, and it ain't never went like that.
Right. Right. So they're going to have to figure out. They're trying to get a Tom Brady deal. The thing is that Lamar Jackson is a player you want to build around to. You can always build around him. You can't with Aaron Rodgers. This is it. Like, you're gonna hope to get to a Super Bowl. That's all you got. That's all you. There's nothing else. So if they can't do something to fix this, it ain't gonna work. Mm-hmm. So this is a big swing and a miss. If they don't win a Super Bowl, this is a big miss.
It's gonna be a big miss. I can put money on that.
Yeah, and mind you, I know that even though I said the Bills took a step back, you had the Bills, you had the Dolphins, and we all saw what they did because the Dolphins are offensive firepower, and the Bills, they're like always at least in the AFC, they're in the top 4. And Belichick ain't going out without a fight. So just because you got Aaron Rodgers does not mean that you're automatically going to get in. With Lamar Jackson, you got a chance to compete with those other teams.
That's a good point.
With Aaron Rodgers, you do too. But, I mean, do you see Zach Wilson down the line being that ready to be in there?
In that division?
Yeah.
Yeah. They would have to build around him.
Yeah. Well, they did build around him. He has the pieces now. Mm-hmm. He's not ready. But hopefully he will be. And even when he is, because we're in the second year, third year. Remember, all those young players are in their third and fourth years, right? So by the time you get Rodgers out of here, it's either how you going to afford to pay Zach Wilson, because a lot of those young guys are going to walk out the door. So that means he's going to have to be the guy to work around young talent. Where Lamar Jackson, you can do that. With Zach Wilson, you're not sure yet.
Mm-hmm. Again, you cannot nickel and dime your way to championships.
Facts.
So, good luck. I know what the Steelers are doing.
Yeah, most def, man.
I'm waiting to run the table next year on that one. I got us winning at least 10 next year.
Yeah.
I ain't expect the 8 this year, so I got 10 next year.
2 of them is going to be against the Ravens.
Oh yeah.
Because the Tyler Huntley can't beat them. And I like Tyler Huntley. I just don't think that team's not built for him. That team's built for a scrambling mobile quarterback. He's kind of more of a drop back vertical passing guy. That ain't gonna work. So there it is. You know what I mean? Once again, I'm gonna end with this. We could be general managers. That's all I'm gonna say.
Apparently, it ain't that hard.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No.
Good luck. And like I said, I can't wait to watch the Steelers run the table in that division next year. Got 10 wins.
Yeah.
Got anything you want to close on?
Nah, I'm just going to leave it there. There's a lot more we have to talk about.
Yeah, we just getting back like we started off with. A lot of personal stuff going on, but
March Madness, all that.
we're back.
Facts.
We got a lot of stuff to discuss in the upcoming weeks.
Mm.
Stay tuned, man. Appreciate anybody who's tuning in, whether it's one person or whether it's a few hundred people.
Right.
Shout out to everybody tuning in to Enveonline. We'll catch you next time. Signing off.
Salute.